I want to discuss today with you a thought process around the winners of investors into assets and crypto like XRP. Now, I surround myself by as many different entrepreneurs as I possibly can, so I can always get different perspectives, different views on whatever it is I'm doing, because I always want to be the least smart person in the room, or the person who's doing the least amount of work, right? I try and do as much work as possible, as much research as possible, but there's always going to be someone out there who's better than you. So it's really important if you can surround yourself with people like that. And a really easy way to do that is a place like this on YouTube, right? We can surround ourselves by people who maybe do more work than us, or maybe more importantly, have different opinions and views than us. And that way we can get a well-rounded opinion, and we can base our research off many different sources. One of them can be YouTube, one of them can be our own research, one of them can be Twitter, one of them can be actually reading the documents from these companies, from these projects, and all of that sort of stuff. But the mindset that I want to talk about and convey in today's video was spurred on by a comment, right? Someone was commenting about the amount that they had lost recently. And yes, XRP is down a lot. It's crashed a lot recently. But the thing that people don't, or a lot of people don't understand, is the ones that win in this market are the ones that can sustain this volatility. I always like to think about a thought, right, of the early investors into Bitcoin. So I found out about Bitcoin at $300. And when I found out about it, $300 still seemed like a lot of money to me. And it may seem like a lot of money to you, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? That was 10% of what I made a month. So it's $3,000 a month, right? And I thought, there's no way I'm going to buy this. And I didn't buy it until it was $3,000. But what I like to think in my head is the pain of me buying and selling early would have been way worse right now than the pain of buying a little bit too late. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the only people who are sitting here in massive amounts of profit in Bitcoin, but also now massive amounts of profit in XRP. Remember, XRP is the third largest crypto. So the only people who are sitting here in these massive amounts of profit are the people that sustained insane volatility. If you think that right now is bad, boy, you got a lot to come if we go into another bear market, which I think we are going to go into, right? I've sustained, this is my third bull market. So I went through the 2017 bull market and down in the bear market, 2021 bull market, down in the bear market, and then back up again now for the 2024, 2025 bull market. Now, my positions and my portfolio the first time in 2017, I went from $3,000 to $75,000 and then all the way down to $1,800. That was before I had a strategy, an exit plan, and I could control my emotion. The second time round, I turned. There was one trade that I did where I did $500 into $160,000 and I sold. Right, that was one of the best trades that I'd done, the best trade of my life at the time, and probably still in percent gain, maybe the best or one of the best trades that I've ever done. I've made capital gain more than that, but using more sums of money. So the point that I'm trying to get to is the amount of volatility that you have to endure. And volatility kind of sounds okay when you're near the top, right? And anyone who's been in XRP for a few years, we're near the top right now. But anyone who just got in the last month or 2 months, you might be down quite considerably. Maybe you bought, above $3 and now you're down and you think, it's over, I'm panicked, I was so stupid, all of that stuff. But I want to tell you guys that we've all been there. I'm someone who's sitting in significant profits on XRP. My average buy is about 50 cents. Same with Bitcoin. My average buy is probably somewhere in the 20s, 20,000. Same with Cardano, it's significantly lower than it is right now. Same with Solana. Solana I was buying at $16, $17. Now I'm not here to brag and say that's what I did, but what I want you to understand is I bought Solana, right, during the last bull run. I had to sustain and endure the most insane volatility to the downside. And you create this kind of stoic attitude towards your portfolio. And that's, if you can take one thing away from this video, if you're feeling scared and distraught and you're panicking right now in this market, you don't even know the half of the pain. But in that pain, right, comes sort of this freedom or this peace where you get to a point where you come to realize you need a strategy and you need a way to control your emotion, right? So for me, when I get into a trade or an investment, I'm not thinking of it as a day trade. You have to remove yourself from the idea that you're a day trader unless you are a day trader. I don't think anyone watching this video is a day trader. If you are a day trader, then congratulations, well done. That's only about 1% of day traders actually make any money. But the problem is as normal retail traders and investors, we actually think like day traders. So maybe, a month ago you bought XRP because everyone was talking about it and it was $3. Right? And it went up for a bit and you were so excited, you were elated, you were happy, you were telling people such a good investment, yada, yada. And then now you're like, oh God, I don't want to talk to anyone that I told that was a good investment because now it's down loads. But that's the mentality of a day trader, because it doesn't matter where it goes in the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, if you have a long-term outlook. So for me, on XRP in my spot bag, I have a long-term outlook. So when I was buying at 50 cents, yeah, great. When we got to $2.70, I took some profits, right? Because that was like swing trading over a year's period, right? Took some profits, and that means that I then don't worry about what happens, right? And my point was about when we get into the trade, you need to have a idea of your plan. So when you have a plan, it's your strategy, and you stick to that strategy. So when you bought, if you are someone who bought XRP at $3, $3.30, whatever it was, and now you're down, what was your strategy? What was your thought process when you bought it? Now, if you were someone who is like the majority who buy in those euphoric moments, or who are new to buying, you bought because it was exciting, because everyone was talking about it. Well, that was a mistake, all right? Buying because everyone else is talking about something is not the way people get rich. The way people get rich is getting an income, using that income to generate more income, investing in themselves and their businesses, and then using that income to invest into asset classes like XRP, and then sustaining the volatility into a massive move to the upside, which we're still in right now. And I think there'll still be more opportunity with XRP and with crypto, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's no option. Maybe there's no opportunity with XRP anymore. I don't know. I think there is, right? That's based on my strategy and my investment. But what we need to do is we need to get into investments and trades with a clear plan, a clear strategy, and a clear length, right? What will I do if the price goes down? What will I do if the price goes up? So for me, when I get into something, if I had have bought XRP at $3, at $3.30, 36, whatever the exact local high was, my plan would have been clear. And it would have been, if XRP continues to drop, I'm gonna buy. So I can explain one of my strategies with Bitcoin with low leverage, right? When it gets a local high and it goes down 5%, I buy. Goes down 5% more, I buy. Goes down 5% more, I buy. I'm averaging my entry down. And then because we're in a bull market, we bounce, right? Every time we're in a bull market, we do bounce, but eventually it ends. So I have a clear point. It's around 45% down. Okay, well, this trade didn't work out. I'm going to cut my losses. But if we're still in a bull market, normally it bounces upwards. And because I've averaged my price down, say I bought at 100K, 90, 80, 70, 60, right? Or 70, 30% down, 6 entries. It then bounces, but my average isn't 100 anymore, it's 80. So then when it bounces back to 85, 90, that's when I start taking profits, because that was my plan. Now in the spot market, I like to buy when everyone's scared, when the market is very scared, right? And this is a long-term DCA strategy. So I started buying Bitcoin in the last bear market at around $40,000 because I thought that was the bottom. I was very wrong. But I continued to buy. Every time we went further down, all the way down to in fact 16,000 and back up again, I was buying. So even though I started at 40 or 45K, because I averaged all the way down to 16K, my average was about $20,000 for Bitcoin. And that means now at 100K, when we hit 124 and we go back down to 110, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference because I'm up so significantly because I had a long-term DCA strategy. Now with my Bitcoin, it might be how you feel about XRP. I don't plan to sell my Bitcoin. In fact, I have a nest egg of Bitcoin that I want to hold forever. In fact, I plan to get loans against that if I want to buy property or stocks or whatever. I don't want to sell it. Anything above that amount that I have, that's the one that I'm trading, right? So I'm getting in when everyone's scared, I'm selling it when everyone's euphoric. And I rinse and repeat that cycle. That's my strategy. If you want to learn more about it, just subscribe to this channel. But the most profitable investors including the likes of Warren Buffett. I like to, even though he's not really about crypto, I like to apply his logic, right? And he literally came out multiple times and said he has no idea where the stock market's gonna go. Maybe it goes up, maybe it goes down, but his plan is to be in it for the long term. And then he believes wholeheartedly, and he's been correct for a long time, that if you come back in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's going to be significantly higher than it is today. And that's how he's become the most profitable investor and the most well-known and sought-after investor for knowledge in the world. So that's kind of what I apply to my trading and my investing. And that's how everyone that I've met who's become wildly wealthy outside of their own businesses, but with their investments, they've bought something, they've held it, and then they're sitting on that pile because it's gone up so much. And a lot of these people are diverse, right? They have a number of different investments. Maybe it's, for me, example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and a few other altcoins I hold. So when one goes absolutely nuts, like everyone's been like, this has been the crappiest bull market ever. But Bitcoin's been on a massive tear from 16 to 124. So I made a lot of money there. And then everyone was like, oh, XRP does nothing. It's so boring. It stayed at 50 cents for 2-3 years. Guess what? When Bitcoin kind of chilled out at the end of last year, XRP went up 6x. And then guess what? Solana is above $200. It was like $16, $17, $18 in the bear market. So you can see with the diverse portfolio, they don't all rise at the same time, but I get ebbs and flows in the market. And I've just been trying to surround myself, both on the internet and in person, with these sorts of people who can give me these perspectives. And that's how I've created those perspectives. So what I suggest for anyone to watch this is relax, think about your strategy, think about what you're holding, and think about the knowledge that you consume. And that's going to make you a much better, and in my opinion, more profitable trader. If you want more information from what I'm doing, just hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.